Welcome to the, where are we? Canby City Council regular meeting for May 15th, 2013. We have a full agenda, so we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. So please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing for a moment of silence. Great. Thank you very much. So first thing on our agenda, or I guess second thing on our agenda, is the Hometown Hero Award presentation. Kim has graciously provided me with a script which I will go through. It is a, as you can see, we'll show you the plaque here. There are a few names on it, and it's a very worthwhile award. So the Canby City Council established the Hometown Hero Award program as a means to provide official recognition from the city for those individuals or organizations whom, through their unselfish efforts, contribute in some significant manner to the quality of life in the community and/or to community betterment and the advancement of community goals and vision. Award recipients are presented with a certificate from the city in recognition of their specific deeds, actions, or contributions to the Canby community, which fall within three categories. Those categories are community involvement, community leadership, and noteworthy citizen actions. In addition to the recipient receiving a certificate from the city, a special plaque on display at City Hall has an engraved nameplate of each recipient of the Town Hall or Hometown Hero Award. Tonight, this award is being presented posthumously to Judith Ann Patterson. And let me read to you the letter that was submitted from the Transit Advisory Committee. It says, "Dear Mayor Hodson and Council, the Transit Advisory Committee wishes to nominate Judith Ann Patterson posthumously for the City of Canby's Hometown Hero Award for community involvement in recognition of her volunteer service and activities which promoted the welfare of the citizens of Canby and the Canby community. Judy was a member of the Transit Advisory Committee for nearly 5 years. During her tenure, the committee made many critical recommendations regarding the public transit services provided by Canby Area Transit, or as we like to call it, CAT. These recommendations include major service revisions in 2008, service cuts in 2009 and 2011, and the recent implementation of a $1 fare. Judy advocated for all CAT riders and especially for low-income riders and riders with special needs. In addition to her participation on the committee, Judy frequently identified locations around town that needed a curb cut or other wheelchair-accessible improvements. She brought these locations to the attention of city staff, including the city engineer. Judy was an active fundraiser for Canby's annual Relay for Life for the American Cancer Society. Each year she managed a quilt raffle to support the Relay for Life. She also attended the relay, rain or shine, and encouraged everyone she came in contact with to participate with her. For several years, Judy worked with Mike Mays at Channel 5, OCTS, or now CTV5. She not only volunteered to help out at the station, she made excellent programming suggestions and did her best to keep the citizens of Canby informed. Judy's influence was greatly appreciated by the members of the Transit Advisory Committee. Her volunteer contributions directly impacted the welfare of the citizens of Canby. Judy will be missed for many years to come. Thank you for considering Judy for the Hometown Hero Award for community involvement. Sincerely, Sandra Cranston, Transit Advisory Committee Chair. On behalf of the Transit Advisory Committee members, Brian Olson, Richard Ball, Carol Luce, Francisco Zamora Flores, Mariah Layton, and Donald Smeebeck. So the award, Hometown Hero Award, to Judith Ann Patterson in posthumous recognition for community involvement as demonstrated by countless volunteer service and activities. Canby Area Transit, Relay for Life, and Canby Adult Center are some of the groups that Judith contributed greatly to. For this and all Judith did to promote the betterment and welfare of the citizens of the city of Canby, we honor her from a most grateful and appreciative community as a hometown hero. And with that, I will gladly put my sign, make sure my stickies are gone. And I believe we have family here. Show everyone here that. Thank you very much. Thank you, yes. You guys want to come up and take a picture with the plaque at all? So we already have her badge already on here. She joins some pretty good company up here, so, yeah. Great. Did you want to say any words at all, or?
Just so you know, I'm her son, Sean. She lived in Canby the last, she moved here in 2003, so the last 9 years of her life. And she always was very active, and as you heard from the video read, she died a year ago today, so I really appreciate the fact that this is the very day she died. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. She was great. Great. We have a proclamation this evening. It's Public Works Week proclamation. Whereas public works services provided in our community are integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as parks, fleet, sewer, streets, stormwater, wastewater, and public buildings. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction are vitally dependent on the efforts and skill of public works staff. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now, therefore, I, Brian Hodson, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Canby, do hereby proclaim May 19th through the 25th as Public Works Week here in the city of Canby, and call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works staff make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Given unto my hand this 15th day of May 2013 in the city of Canby. And I believe we have Mr. Jerry Nelzine here to accept this, yes? And Greg or Jerry, would you like to expand on the week that we are about to undertake celebrating public works?
Oh,
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'll do that to you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we were, Greg, did we decide on the 23rd?
23rd.
I never nailed you down on a time. How about 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock on the 23rd.
What day of the week is it?
And
That's
we're
a
gonna,
Thursday.
Okay.
and we're gonna plan on closing down Holly Street between 1st and 2nd in front of City Hall. I got one business to talk to make sure that's clear, and then we'll bring our equipment down, and anything else you guys might think of, email me on what you want to see. But I want to show you guys our TV camera, sweeper, all of our stuff. So
Is this going to be like a public event?
I'm hoping so. I think that's.
Let's flesh it out a little bit for the TV audience and the people here. What are we talking about?
Do you want to go on?
Well,
that?
just all the equipment, which would include a Vector truck. We will have the TV cameras down here. We will be looking at the insides of storm drains and possibly sewer lines. And you'll get a chance to operate that if you would like. And so I think it's the equipment that...
Can we operate the backhoe?
Well, our risk manager on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's called a hydraulic cable or telephone line locator, we could just see if
Exactly.
they're deep enough.
Yes. So,
But you heard what Jerry said? You gotta ask the risk manager. That's a
Yes.
great answer, Jerry.
yeah, no, absolutely.
I was
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah, so, yeah, hope to see all you guys there, and I've been here over 8 years now, and we've never done anything like this, so I don't know what to expect, so we just want to get our stuff down so you can see it and tell you how much we appreciate the stuff you've gotten us since I've been here.
Well, we're gonna try and get the word out too, up in the paper, and of course, we'll do it in our newsletters, and try and get the word out as much as possible.
Yeah.
Can I add something, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
I know this is a proclamation for the taking care of the property of the city, the pipes and sewers and whatnot. But one of the things that I've noticed the last few years is the cooperation of you and your department for community events. It's I won't say it's rare, but it's very nice to have a Public Works Department that works with many activities, but the one I'm familiar with is the Rotary Club 3-on-3 tournament, and you guys coming down and helping us get the park ready, get the streets ready, clean, safe for the kids and people playing basketball, and just working with us. And I know you put in a lot of time on Saturday with us and help us out a lot, and it's really appreciated, and people notice it. So,
Yeah. Well,
thanks
thank you.
very
Yeah,
much.
that'll go really smooth this year. We got all the meltdown down and everything else, and
Yeah.
it just gets easier and easier.
Great. Glad to hear
I
it.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
And if I, before we continue, I really want to recognize Jerry, because he, in the last couple of years, has taken on a much more substantial lead role in the Public Works Group, and a lot of the stuff that we have been able to get done is because of your leadership, Jerry, and I know you've got a great crew that supports you in that as well, and I go back to our First Avenue project, and you were very much Johnny on the spot, and we're willing to meet with businesses and a many neurotic city councilor to go over the finer pieces of plumbing and trees and things like that. So you're a tremendous asset to have on our team, and I appreciate it, so thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. The city tree display on Sequoia Parkway.
And we have Mr. Saul Jacobson here to talk about that. And Saul works in the Parks Department and with Jerry, and he's also the city arborist.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, Saul. How are you?
Good.
Good.
We've been working on, in our minds, getting a tree planting done that would encompass basically what is our entire street tree list. And for approximately 5 years, we've been looking at different sites and working on how to best make this happen. And eventually, we decided that the industrial park would be an excellent spot to do this for several different reasons. One of those being we had some issues with tree conflicts in regards to planting near power poles, fire plugs, etc. They hadn't been put where we would want them now, the way our city code reads. Some of the other issues were the trees were not in the best shape, and we're getting to a size where potentially they could do damage to the infrastructure, which in our community would be the responsibility of the abutting property owner. So it looked like we could kill two birds with one stone and get some of these trees out and put a new variety in as a display. Our street tree list is comprised of 87 different varieties of trees, so it's pretty extensive, and it encompasses everything from a 3-foot planter strip up to an 8-foot planter strip, so there's a number of trees that could go in each of those areas, and so it gives the public or a business the opportunity to choose lots of different varieties. With this project, it allowed us to promote and actually use tree material from many different nurseries in the area. So it was good in the sense that we got to purchase a lot of materials that were used on this project from local businesses too. This project should allow, and quite frankly, we're We're not quite done. The trees are all in the ground, including the very last one I procured today so that I could come in here tonight and say that all 87 are in and alive at this point. There will be placards that go with these that will identify the common name and then the botanical name as well with each tree, and it will also denote on our tree list, which is available on the city website as well as at planning and down at Public Works. There's an appendix that will have the number of the tree and also which is appropriate for which planter strip size. That'll be on the plaque. And so with a street tree list, and hopefully within the next month, we'll also have a map showing the route to take to walk this. If one wishes to do so, you'll be able to take the map and look and identify each of these trees and whether they would be appropriate for your area or not. And my hope is that with this, it'll allow a visual aid. It's pretty easy for me when someone calls and asks, hey, we want new trees in front of our place. What should we put in? I can rattle off all kinds of stuff that they're going to have no idea what it looks like. This will be something where I can send them out and they can take a look and really see what these things look like and seasonally see what they look like because we're going to get different fall color, blooms, growth patterns, etc. So there are all of those things that I think that will be really good. I think that the schools could potentially use this planting also. It'll be a tool that the children will be able to go out and see how many different varieties of tree will grow in our area. It's kind of amazing even to me to go look and see these trees that do wonderfully here that just aren't planted because they aren't popular. But you know, maybe they will be as people see how nice they look. So that is a great asset, I think, for our community. One of the other things I wanted to touch on is that part of my job as the arborist here is to ensure that we have a diversity in our urban forest. And the reason for that is so that if we have a vector, an insect, or a disease that comes in, we don't lose vast quantities of our street trees all in one fell swoop. And so this may be a tool to allow some of that diversity to take place also. And the other things that we were looking at with this, I think, well, you'll notice that one thing I want to touch on too is there's green bags out here on all of these trees too, and they're watering bags. Okay. And they allow us to get a long, deep soak on these trees without flooding out into the street and sidewalk. And it promotes root growth that we're looking for, which would be downward root growth as opposed to a bunch of surface roots. Right. So essentially, there's a lot of trees that have gone in. This has been a project that's taken us a couple of months to do, and I'm sure people have been wondering what we're up to. And in a nutshell, there it is. That's what we've done. I really hope that y'all get an opportunity to go take a look at it. I'm proud of it. I think it turned out well. I think it's a good showcase of different varieties as well as the nursery stock that's being grown in our area. It's been a neat project. It's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm really happy that we were able to. If you have any questions about anything.
That answered my question. I drive that way often, taking my kids to school, and I've been wondering, what in the heck is going on? So now I know. Thank you, Sal.
I thought those green diapers on the trees were water bags, but I wasn't sure. That's what it looks like.
Greg? Well, I just want to say that when we did First Avenue, Saul was instrumental in making sure that the right trees went in, because just because they're pretty doesn't mean they're good street trees. And that was a real issue of Saul's, and he stuck with that over much objection, by the way, of the designer, and I think we got the right street tree in there because of Saul. So if you just thought you stick a seed in the ground and it grows, there's a lot more to it, as Saul just explained. So
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Councilor Parker?
Well, I think this is neat on so many levels that it expands our park there, the Arneson Donation Park, through the industrial park, and also gives our industrial park a sparkle and gives it some cachet. And finally, I wish that this had been done 3 years ago, when my wife and I had to take out a tree in our front yard, and we wanted to find something that to replace it, and we would drive around the neighborhood and knock on people's doors and say, what's the name of that tree? So while this may not be as social as our effort, I do think it's a tremendous educational effort, and we really need to think of a way to appropriately thank you for this, because this is going to be something that generations will enjoy.
Thank you. I sure hope that's true. I really do. I think this is something that we can provide to the community that should be a benefit for many generations if we take care of it. So, thank you so much. Brilliant idea.
Councilor Neal?
I just wanted to give a shout out to Saul and Jerry as well, let our city administrator know. In my neighborhood, Saul has spent a lot of time helping us. We're one of those neighborhoods that had incompatible species, 187 instances of incompatible species, and Saul has worked so hard with us. Everything from trees blocking lights to sidewalks starting to heave, masonry walls busting out, trees over utilities, and Jerry and Saul have worked so hard with us to find the right species. And they get to deal with really angry homeowners who are facing lots of money in fixing things, and without exception, I get to hear about this a lot in our HOA. Everybody comes away smiling after working with Saul and with Jerry. They're still going to pay a lot of money, but they're smiling, they got a plan, and they say, wow, thank you, city. And so you couldn't have two finer gentlemen, finer public servants, finer face of the city of Canby than Jerry and Saul. And I just want to brag on them a little.
Good. You also notice Saul's a pretty big boy, though.
He is a big boy.
Slips on them trees.
And it's what it is.
He's got really cool toys that I really want to drive next Thursday.
Canby Education Foundation presentation.
I'm just going to give a brief introduction. I'm Mary Walsh, the Executive Director of the Canby Educational Foundation. We had a discovery that even though we have been around since 1997, a lot of people in the Canby area school district are unaware of our existence and what we do. So we've decided, Carol Mewson, who has retired from the school district, but we keep her extremely busy, has made this wonderful PowerPoint, and we've given it so far to the Kiwanis, and we're going to be giving it to the Chamber and Rotary, and we're very excited about it. We have given, since 1997 when we began, we have given over, as of this fiscal year, over $400,000 in grants that go back into the schools for things that used to be kind of extras. Now they're not really extras, things that enhance your children's education and their extracurricular work and their so many various things. The board members will get into that. So I would like to introduce three of our board members who are here this evening: Audrey Wright, Carol Mewson, and Tom Olson. And Carol and Tom are on our marketing committee, and they'll be doing the PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Good evening. Carol Mewson, as was said, and I'm really happy and pleased for you folks to have a little bit of time for us to talk to you about some of the important work that we do. And, you know, we get a lot of time to talk within our schools and to our staff and that kind of thing. We don't get a lot of opportunity, which we decided was lacking, to talk to our community at large about what we do. And of course, we're always asking for donations so that we can continue the important work we do, ever so more important these days with the lack of funding for our schools. And as Mary mentioned, three of our board members here, it's a larger board than that, but it's all community members who have the same passion for helping our schools, and especially in the last few years with things that have happened. But they keep us on track and make sure that the money that we receive is given to valid and wonderful projects that have gone on over many years.
Excuse me, can I interrupt just one moment?
Yes.
Please? Sorry. Will you maybe focus the the camera by any chance there, Mr. Joe?
Projector.
Oh, yeah, projector.
It's a little
It's a little
Thank
blurry.
you.
Is this?
I thought it was my eyeballs.
I can give it, but.
I was thinking maybe I needed to do that. We're all checking our glasses.
Technical stuff.
Is that gonna help at all?
Maybe the lens?
Usually it's a mess.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe gets his tech badge. Thank you, sorry about that.
No, that's no problem. And as the screen shows us, we do have good criteria for our grants when we get the applications from our educators. And first of all, it's just to supplement the curriculum. We're not there to purchase curriculum or take over that role. But we do want to supplement what the kids have available to them. And we really want them to impact as many kids. So we're hoping not to get an individual application for a grant, but that it's a classroom or a grade or a whole school at times of kids that will be impacted by the money that we give them and award the grant to. And then we also ask that they do a little research and see where else could they maybe garner some funds for their project and not just rely on the foundation, but go out to the community or other outside sources who also like to support those kinds of efforts. So as Mary said, it's just as of this year, just over $400,000. We've put a lot of money into innovative tools in the earliest days before, we've all heard about what's going on now, but in the earliest days, some of the technology that was made available to our students, and you know how it's grown with our iPads and our work that's being done there that's just phenomenal. And so we were at the beginning stages of helping out with getting that started as well, along with Joe Morlock, who is so innovative in what he provides and the ideas. So since the earliest days, 150 grants have been awarded, and I think one of the other most valuable projects that came about was the amplification system in classrooms, and it started in small groups and numbers, but has expanded throughout the district, and there's so many kids who were hearing disadvantaged. But what we found too was not only could they begin to hear the teacher talk and what was going on in the classroom, but the other kids in general were benefiting from having a clear sound from their teacher, their voice, so that they were actually, they were all benefiting from it, not just for what we thought initially would be just the kids who were hearing impaired. So we never quite know what the end result's going to be, of the benefit is going to be when we put those grants out there, but that was one that gave us a bonus for that. The science programs, ecology in the classroom, those kinds of things. Critical thinking this last year with our community volunteer coordinator and 1,700 students who were touched in some way by working with community members who offered, the street banner program is one that comes to mind right away. There were quite a number of projects where they were able to interact with the community and students in a way that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to in a regular school day. So we were very proud of that program as well. And how we got started, I don't think most people know. Roger, being our earliest board member from the very beginning, I believe, Lee Larson used to own the transportation system in Canby for school buses. And he was a generous man, obviously, when he gave us $100,000 to begin the foundation work. And he really wanted us to help our community's children, and I hope that he believes that that's exactly his intention has been happening over the years since then. In addition to that beginning, we've had endowments, corporate and business, employee giving program, which you'll see. They are very generous. The people who are losing days, hours, money are still continuing to support the grant program, and I think that's phenomenal, and kudos to them for continuing to believe in that. And of course, our fun and fundraising event, the Spring Fling, which we enjoy putting on, and a lot of people enjoy attending to help us out. There's one thing you may not know about. You can get some discount tickets for the cinema here in Canby, and you can do that through Mary, and that's another way that we raise funds, and it really helps out a lot of families for a little bit cheaper way to go to the movies over the time. Some of our endowments, which Roger helps us keep on track with, their endowments, and we only use the income generated through investments on those, so that those are sitting there to help us have a steady income over time. So Virginia Resch with a very generous investment, and Alice Chloe and Charles Drigger, those three endowments have helped us just maintain a steady income as well as our fundraising. And I mentioned the employees from the district, $7,200 annually, and that for us, for grants, is a lot of money to share back out, because some of our grants are small, and we can award those nicely with their help. We just got through with, and some of the people here were at our Spring Fling, so it was a great event, and we'll hopefully next year in April again or thereabouts, you'll want to join us at that event where we do raise money, but we also have a lot of fun. And at this point, we've always had an author come speak to us, and this year in particular, a fellow who had done the Oregon portion of the Pacific Crest Trail, was very entertaining, and we enjoyed him a lot. And
we've had, as you well know, as a community, like every community in the state, had to face some brutal facts over the past number of years about the reduction in school funding that has occurred. In the Canby district alone, $17 million cut over the past 6 years, $9.5 million of that in the past 3 years, 69 employees gone, 5 administrators, 38 teachers, 26 support staff. And of course, the result of that is much larger class sizes, curriculum losses. We've lost PE and art in the elementary level, foreign language in the middle schools, and on and on. But it's a reality that our community has had to face. And we began talking in the foundation, well, what does that mean for us? I mean, we've been giving grants, and really, I think, productive grants to help schools with certain enhancements. But we said, we're in a different time now. The curriculum is 5 years old, for example. Some of our textbooks in the school district are 12 years old. We've had to cut back on busing, as you recall. So what does all of that mean on top of another trend that brings us greater learning challenges? The significant increase in the number of kids living in poverty in Canby, 46% now in our schools. That's the poverty level. A couple of our schools are well over 50% in poverty. And we all know that poverty brings learning barriers through health, through emotional issues, and so on. So we've got higher cost students and lower amounts of money. So we all agreed it's time for the community to step up to the plate even more than it historically has, and Canby is unique in stepping up to the plate. And for example, we created a dental, the foundation didn't do this, but the community created a dental health program for the kids in our elementary schools. Every kid in elementary schools is screened, and then those who are uninsured get immediate urgent care if they need it from the wonderful crew of dentists and dental hygienists in our community, their volunteer time. That program is producing $3 worth of professional services for our kids for every dollar we've invested in coordinating the program so that all kids get screening. They get instruction in classes by dental hygienists about good dental hygiene. Parents get education also by dental hygienists. The Backpack Buddy program is another great example. Again, the foundation didn't do that, but the Canby Center, working with the school district, has stepped up to the plate. Last year, they gave over 9,000 weekend backpacks of food for kids who otherwise wouldn't have anything to eat over the weekend. These are some of the impacts that the community is facing. And so we're saying we want to engage in a partnership with the entire community to step up to the plate. And we can do that through financial donations. And
we're not the only ones who help our schools. You all know what Rotary does, what Kiwanis does to help the schools, what the Canby Center does in terms of their youth development program they've got going now. So we want to engage in a partnership with those other groups, but we think we can help, and you can help us spread the word about the need and about the opportunities. Not only giving money, but giving time. For tutoring kids, city employees have done this. They've come in to help kids understand what does a firefighter have to do in terms of analyzing a problem that they're confronted with immediately, and how do they deal with that? What does a city manager have to do in terms of good problem solving? Stepping up to the plate to help teachers, help kids realize the realities of the real world and how important good thinking and problem solving is in that. And now we've just been able to help create a teacher adoption program with a small grant to the district. Carol, say a little more about that teacher adoption program that's just been created.
Well, Tracy is doing the coordination of that.
Tracy
and
Height.
Tracy Height is doing the coordination. She's worked with the library, I believe, quite a bit. And it's really kind of a connection different than just raising your hand and saying, I volunteer. It really is saying what teacher has a certain or a special need, and it literally is an individual adopting that teacher and getting into the classroom, being able to, if it's just reading with students, possibly, maybe it is in a wide array of things that can be done, but really kind of dedicating a pair of people, a teacher and a volunteer, so they have that ready and reliable and weekly, if not more than weekly, person who can come in and kind of help them do all the things that they cannot in a day get done. So we're hoping that this really kicks off, and it's been, so far, it's been building by increments, but it looks like it's going to grow quite a bit and really support our
Just in a
teachers.
few weeks, she's got requests from 20 teachers for help, somebody to come in and help in one way or another. And the range of help can be all over the map, that's fine. But again, the community is showing it's willing to step up to the plate. Her first task was to get volunteers to help kids safely travel to and from school now that we had to cut busing back. And so she recruited a whole bunch of volunteers to help with that.
Crosswalk people.
Crosswalk people, right, yeah. So there are a lot of different ways to help. Certainly contributing, if you can spread the word about the opportunity to contribute to the foundation, to provide grants to the schools, but also to just encourage volunteering in the schools, even among city staff. And we've seen the willingness of the city staff to participate already. So we think the sky's the limit if this community, unlike anyone I've ever lived in before, has that ability to step up to the plate. And so we appreciate the opportunity just to update you about what the foundation is about and how we can all work together to help kids in the future. Website is www.canbyedfoundation.org. If you have any questions or you're interested in volunteering or donating, contact Mary Walsh, our Executive Director. We appreciate the time you've given to us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we're kind of turning around, just a couple of comments about the Canby Ed Foundation. That room, the room amplification system that they put in. Mary, is that in every elementary school classroom? The amplification?
District-wide.
The amplification is district.
It's district-wide. Well, I tell you, when you've got a room full of my oldest son is in first grade, and so in a classroom of noisy 6- and 7-year-olds, that system has come in very handy for his teacher. I'm not sure why that would be. My kid's a perfect angel. And then I know with the Backpack Buddies, I know that a number of churches have jumped in to help with that and to make that happen, but it's still not enough. So I think your trail of presentations is a good thing, and I'm glad to see the Canby Ed Foundation getting out and doing these kinds of things so that we can let the community know that there's more that can be done and that we can do. So Thank you. Any other comments or thoughts?
I recently started working at Ackerman Center, and on a Monday, one of the students came in, was having more than usual difficulty in focusing. And I said, "When's the last time you ate?" And he said it was Saturday. So we may think we live in a prosperous, bucolic middle-class town, but there's a lot of needs. And the Backpack Buddies, it's hard to learn when you have an empty stomach. So I appreciate, in particular, the focus on that.
I also just briefly want to thank Pam Schaefer for all her help getting this equipment. She had to go to the planning department to get the projector for us, and she's always just terrific. Thank you. Yes, she is. There's some pamphlets here and a little flyer about the teacher adoption program, should anyone be interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Communication, sir?
None, Mary.
None. All right, the first of two opportunities for citizen input and community announcements. We generally go offer these fabulous yellow cards. I have one, and that would be a Mr. Gregory Perez. If you'd like to come up, sir, and take the podium and speak to us.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. This evening, I just wanted to bring up a couple of points, and it has to do with First Avenue, and it's all positive. We really appreciate all the work that's been done there. One of my questions is, I wanted to know why and can we finish First Avenue in front of Grand Central Station? Because it looks so beautiful from Cuts First all the way down, and then we stop. I understand they did the sidewalk across the street next to Grand Central Station, but it would be so much more appealing with trees lined up across the street from Grand Central Station and finished onto the housing area due to the fact that there are many homes down there and people. So that would be a good entryway for them to walk down to downtown, and that's why we did all this work, is to bring people down to the downtown stores. So I just wanted to know, is it something that you've talked about? Is it something that we can plan and work on if we can find some funds? And that was my question on that one part of First Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment?
Please.
First question, is it something we've talked about? And to my knowledge, at least at this level, no, we haven't. But I would like to point out that I think it was about 4 years ago, you came to a council meeting with the same kind of request that had to do with the sidewalks and curbs along in front of the county fairgrounds or the event center, and it's done.
Right.
So it's people like you bringing this to the surface is very helpful. So I appreciate your thoughts.
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, he stole my thunder. I was going to say it was 4 years ago that you were here saying, what if we have some sidewalks that are dignified in front of the fairgrounds? Sometimes we get our minds focused in other areas, and we need somebody like you saying, what if? What if we had some sidewalks that extended there? I think it's a great idea, so I'd like staff to take a look at what barriers there are. So is the mayor and council president hold their meetings with city staff? Maybe that's something that they can discuss and find a way to put into the work plan.
I don't think our new city attorney's had the pleasure of working with the railroad yet, so maybe this is his opportunity to work with Union Pacific.
Send him up there by himself.
Yeah, that's right.
One-way street.
Smart young fellow.
Well, and I ran into our city attorney earlier, and we did comment that it's review time, and he did say he was almost a 5-star, or did say that you...
If my work right here tonight is any indication, yes.
So, let's see how you do with the railroad, and then we'll talk about it. But I will echo those thoughts. I mean, Greg, I know it's has not been conversation, do we know right off the top of your head, any potential, I mean, roadblocks, pitfalls, other than
No,
funds and
I
planning?
think the distance from the center line of, as Counselor Harris says, center line of railroad would be, but I don't think there's any roadblocks.
Well, and I think you're talking
Mr.
about along
Perez has-
the business, not along the railroad, but along the business side of,
Business side and the railroad,
Okay.
right across the street also.
gotcha, okay. So that
Instead of
finishes-
having people pull in towards the tracks and back out into traffic, which is a safety factor.
50-foot line.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why I brought up the railroad, because I would bet that where they park head in on the dirt
Yeah.
off the road is probably railroad property.
Right, yeah.
And we have to negotiate with them,
Yeah.
so, and they are difficult
They don't
to
give up.
work with.
Yeah.
so.
Mr.
But
President,
it's a
I've talked
great
about
idea.
this before, so I've ignored till this point, so.
I'll be by your office. And the second question, it's, and this is nothing against anybody, I don't want anybody to take this personal. But as a Canby resident, and there are others that I speak to, and business owners, and I know that I'm going to be updated this evening, but it has to do with the parking on First Avenue. Not just along the street, but in the parking lot area. There seems to be a problem of possibly owners or managers lining their cars in that parking area, and they're taking away the customers' parking spaces, so they can't frequent the stores. And our whole ordeal was to beautify it, make it attractable, and for people to come to it. But if there's no parking there and everybody is utilizing it and they could park elsewhere, it might be something you might want to look into, maybe 8 to 5, 2-hour parking in that area. It might be something the city administrator is already working on, I don't know. But I kind of thought maybe if we had an update, we could hear it.
Not much of an update. We do have a parking study that says certain parking limits in certain areas. And on most of the street, I think, is 2 hours. I've talked to our code enforcement officer, and what we're going to do is, and we haven't done it yet, is start intermittent enforcement, because we can't afford to hire a full-time, and maybe don't need a full-time parking officer. But I've talked to her about that. We want to notify all the businesses to make sure they're aware that this is going to happen, date certain. And I have been slow on that, to be real honest. I've talked to the code enforcement officer. We've talked about a plan on getting that going. I haven't implemented it yet, but it is on the radar screen. And we want to put some, if they can't park on the street, which is going to be 2 hour, and then between Holly and Fur, that's going to be 2 hour also. On the other side of Fur and on this side of Holly, it's going to be 10 hour, which would be where employees can park. So to get them away from the more, the busier areas. And it just hasn't been implemented yet.
Is there going to be a
That's my fault.
sign that's going to be put up as soon as they pull into that area so they know that that's going to be a regulated parking area?
Yeah, well, if you look at First Avenue, I believe all the 2 hour signs are up.
Okay.
But in the parking lot, the old railroad parking lot area, I don't think they're up yet. I know the 10 hour, I don't think the 10 hours are up yet.
Okay.
But some of the 2 hours are, I believe, in the 2 blocks between Holly and Fur.
In the lot?
Is it in a lot?
Signs? I know, I've
Yeah.
seen the ones on the street.
You don't think there's any in the lot yet?
I'm not sure.
And I
don't
don't
think
know
so.
it either.
I've seen them
Okay.
on the road, but I'm not sure if they're in the lot yet.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to
It's
address that.
interesting, like you had mentioned, because that actually, we had an exec session before our meeting tonight, and that did come up about cars parking in the railroad spots on the railroad side of the parking lot, and them generally being business owners doing that. And so I think we need to, with summer
Yeah.
right around the corner and increased activity, we might need to, do we have a guesstimated implementation time?
No, I can get that to you relatively soon. I'd rather I want to talk to Public Works first and make sure I know what their schedule is.
Okay.
Make sure we've got the material, the signs, et cetera, to do it. Because I know they've done quite a bit down First Street.
Right.
And I just think it's the parking lot area that they have not. And that's, could be material, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's probably something that somebody needs to do, is to inform the business owners so they're not
Absolutely.
hit blindsided.
Yeah.
No, and that's I know with Matilda did her presentation a couple of months back that and that was in my notes tonight, that, where there were stages to the implementation piece, and a lot of that is working those pieces into the budget, because that wasn't an added-on piece that we looked at this year, and so we did stripe, we've added signs, but the big piece is gonna be, we can add all the signs in the world, but until we have somebody that go around and chalk tires and check license plates and that kind of thing, the signs will last, the concept will last only so long before, and I'm guilty of it. I have parked in a 2-hour spot and been in a meeting with Greg or at Place to Be, and it's been 4 hours before I've left, and so, probably shouldn't, probably shouldn't admit that, but I am guilty of that as well, so the enforcement piece will be key, and so we'll have to look at that and how we, notify the businesses, because that'll be a big piece to let them know before we start chalking tires or however Carrie decides to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Thought that came to my mind is I know some of the vehicles that park along First and in the parking lot, and I know that they're not necessarily all First Avenue businesses. So down Grant and Elm
Right.
and Second Avenue should be
So
notified
they're
as
not
well.
parking in front of their, well, the enforcement will be all over town, or down the town.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is notifying the business owners that you're going
Oh,
to start
right, right,
enforcing
right.
should
Yeah.
extend probably to the side streets and
Right.
Second
That's a
Avenue,
great-
because
yeah.
people are parking there and walking
Yeah.
2 blocks to their business, but parking in front of someone else's. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, mayor's business, just a couple of reminder for the council to RSVP for the Dragonberry Produce Grand Opening on June 29th, if you have not done so. They're looking for quite the extravaganza that day, so if you can make it, fantastic. I know that Greg, there was some communication, the paving project between us and Oregon City there at the tunnel. Is that, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks, correct?
That's an ODOT project, I don't know.
Okay.
ODOT has a public relations department, and they get,
Okay.
the word out. We have one actually starting in June, right here, the one we've talked about.
Right.
When we met with Mr. Watanabe.
Mm-hmm.
And the ODOT person will be going business to business to inform them that there's going to be paving, and there's going to be disruptions in traffic, obviously. But outside the city limits, I don't know that they come in and say, hey, we're going to have paving between here and Oregon City. What they will do is put up signs. I think you're going to see signs. But that's starting, I believe, May 28th. I think the 28th, day after Memorial Day, going through July something.
Ours? Is that you're talking
No, no,
about
no.
the Oregon City?
The Oregon City.
Okay.
Ours is going to be June 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range.
Well, okay, so I guess more of just as a heads up for
Yeah.
people that commute that direction, that there will probably
Yeah.
be some street closures and detours.
Yeah.
My other piece was parking downtown, which we've talked about. I want to thank the pastors, citizens, and counselors and staff that came to the Mayor's Prairie Breakfast. We had over 70 people attend that breakfast, which was the best turnout in attendance in the last couple of years, so thank you to all those that came to that. C4 is still fine-tuning their lovely presentation on transportation funding plan, which we will see probably sometime in the next couple of months, that they'll make the grand tour of that coming around. We had let the community know our budget meeting was last night. I want to say thank you to staff, good job, and a good job to our budget chairman, Councilor Dale, for running a very efficient and timely meeting. I think we got a lot of ground covered, so thank you to staff for that. I appreciate that. We do have an opening on the budget committee, so if you are marginally good with a calculator or just have a passion for Canby, please come join us. We only meet a couple of times during the year. It's relatively painless.
That's subjective.
Why is there laughing?
Oh, you romanticize it.
Or painful, depending on how you want to look at it. This morning attended the Exporting Clackamas County breakfast today. Tremendous amount of resources for businesses that are looking to export out and sell their goods internationally. Our very own Amy Wynn of Dragonberry was a guest speaker there. So it was a chock full of information, so definitely have, I think, a few businesses in Canby that do take advantage of that and could. And then tonight, we are officially, I guess, launching the Traffic Safety Commission, or committee, and I believe that Clint Coleman is going to be our liaison for that committee, or commission? Committee, correct? Commission, thank you. And then finally, a happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there. That was last weekend, and thank you. And I want to say thank you and happy Mother's Day to my mom, because she now tunes in online from Cleveland. So, happy belated Mother's Day, Mom. And last Friday, I had the opportunity to celebrate Miss Doris Cottle's 100th birthday out at Hope Village last week. So we had cupcakes and all that good stuff. And she said that the success to making it to 100 was Happy Days reruns and being stubborn. So there's a few people in this room that might make it to 100.
Not if we have to watch Happy Days.
Yeah. Oh, Happy Days. What's wrong with the fonts?
It's fine.
Yeah. So that concludes my items, and I'll start with Councilor Ayers.
I have no liaison updates. The next meeting I have is the Parks Board next Tuesday.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the mayor's prayer breakfast. Thank you to our mayor for hosting that and the pastors in town. It was a wonderful fellowship. It was a great time. I also attended the chamber lunch meeting. Got to hear about water rates from Matt Michael. Riveting. I had a Main Street Design Committee meeting today, and it was postponed to next week, so I'll have a more in-depth report at the next meeting. And we already touched on the adopted teacher program, but I'll just use my little note as a reminder then that Tracy Height is the volunteer coordinator, and you can get a hold with her through the Canby Education Foundation, or I would imagine City Hall or the library would be able to help you connect with Tracy as well. Again, I'm not comfortable giving her cell phone number on television, so. And finally, school board meeting tomorrow evening that's be Thursday, May 16th. At 6:30 p.m. at the high school's Omni Room, so I will report on that at the next meeting. That's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, I also had the chance to go to the mayor's prayer breakfast. Very, very good time. Also attended the budget meeting last evening, and this morning I had the good fortune of attending the industrial forum held at Johnson Controls here in Canby, and I'll let our economic development director go into more detail about that on her time, but I was very impressed. They make about 14,000 to 15,000 batteries per day. They are the largest battery manufacturer in the United States, and just a great bunch of people there, and I was very happy to have gotten to witness that. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, sir. Councilor Hill.
Mr. Mayor, I likewise attended the mayor's prayer breakfast. On the Canby Utility front, Canby Utility Board has approved a rate increase in water rates effective July 1st. The increase is just under 10%, and it is only on the base service charge. It is not on usage. So for the average residents, that works out to about $2.81 a month, or a little less than a dime a day, and that'll go into effect July 1st. On behalf of the Southeast and Southwest Neighborhood Association, I want to announce that on May 29th at 6:30 in the Hope Village Community Room, there'll be a forum on 13th Avenue Public Safety. And one of the topics will be, as most folks know, we're in the process of connecting Sequoia with 13th Avenue in the southeast part of town. If you've been by that area in this past week, you got to see truly one of the largest backhoes on the planet out there prepping the site, and so that work's progressing along. But if you're interested in that topic, especially if you live in those neighborhoods, that's May 29th, 6:30, Hope Village Community Room. And that concludes.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Parker.
The one thing I want to talk about is the Historic Review Committee that is getting started under the staffing of our Main Street manager, Jamie Stickle. and we'll be having an announcement out, unless, have you got a date yet on that, Jamie?
For the first meeting?
For the first meeting?
It'll be, I think, the first Monday in June.
Okay, first Monday in June. And the biggest payoff on that, and